that your current occupancy rate is at 66% and your budget variance is negative. What do I mean by that? Well, your occupancy rate is behind budget. So the question now is, how do you go from here at 66% occupancy rate to here 81% occupancy? Now you have a question, why 81%? Well, at 81%, you should be ahead of your competition. Of course, that will depend upon your market and the competition, but you would want that, right? Now you have a doubt in your mind. Is it possible at all? Of course it is. But with a specific strategy and laser focused action, which is what we will be doing. Now, why is a 66% occupancy rate so alarming? Let's blow up some myth. To begin with, occupancy rate is not the ultimate destination. So, what is? Take a look. Occupancy is not an end game, but revenue is. And sustaining revenue over a longer period is your real challenge. Along with that, revenue endgame means an impact on profitability. Revenue impacts profitability a great deal, and it's a favorite with your owners, and you want to be on the right side with your owners, right? So at 66% occupancy, it's not going to yield great profitability. Neither are your owners going to be very thrilled. So then, how do you unlock the secrets to not only higher revenue, but to higher profitability? Well, that's what this video is about. Let's find out how. Welcome to Unlocking Revenue Budget Secrets. And let's get on to secret one. Switch your revenue budget focus. What do I mean by that? Well, stop looking at one-time customers and then do what? Well, start looking at repeat guests. What will this do? It will build loyalty. And as you will see, loyalty is a powerful key performance indicator. Watch this clip now on repeat guest ratio. How do you measure customer loyalty, particularly in the case of the hotel? Enter repeat guest ratio, one of the most powerful key performance indicators for a hotel. Having a healthy and consistent repeat guest ratio is the envy of every hotel. However, it's easier said than done. We will shortly see why it is such a huge challenge. However, first, why does a hotel need to measure how many repeat guests it has? As said earlier, repeat guests have bought into the value of your services. That is a huge battle won already. What does that actually mean, though? It means that you do not need to sell to these guests. You can conserve your marketing dollars for the new customers you want to attract. Repeat guests are already sold on the value of your services. So, how is this key performance indicator calculated? Great question. Let's get into it. As said earlier, repeat guests are representative of the customer loyalty performance of your hotel. Let's see how that works. The calculation for a repeat guest ratio is total number of repeat guests divided by total arrivals for a day. Why do we link repeat guests to arrivals? Well, arrivals are measured on an everyday basis, and it's important to understand how many of those arrivals are actually repeat guests. Take a look at the Paradise Hotel here. As you can see, the guest repeat ratio here is 7% for the month of February, which is a lean month. The repeat guest ratio in the standard month of March increases to 9%. And in the month of April, which is a peak month, it goes on to double digits at 10%. How is the guest repeat ratio improving? Is it improving at the same rate that occupancy has gone up? Certainly not. As you can see, occupancy has actually been going up quite fast from 66% in February to 81% in March and 93% in April. However, the repeat guest ratio movement from 7% in February to 9% in March and then 10% in April is a good indication. And it is related to the number of guest arrivals, as we said earlier. Take a look at the guest arrivals here. In February, they numbered 3,060. They moved up to 4,137 and peaked at 4,627. So guest arrivals have been increasing. Of course, guest arrivals will increase when the occupancy is on a surge. However, it's not necessary that the repeat guest ratio also follows that same pattern. Having a consistently growing repeat guest ratio is indispensable for a hotel, particularly considering that post-COVID-19 competition has really ramped up. Let's look at repeat guest ratio from another perspective, and a probably more important perspective. As you can see, total room revenue for the month of February for Paradise Hotel is at 668,500. It jumps up to 1,050,000 in the month of April. At the same time, in that month, the repeat guest ratio is at 10%. Now assume that this 10% is something that Paradise Hotel can move to 15%. Just imagine the incremental room revenue that can be achieved by Paradise Hotel by moving from 10% to 15%. And why would that happen? That is simply because these are guests who already understand the value of your services. So they don't mind coming back. But if you can increase the numbers of these repeat guest ratio customers, then it's worth its while because it will translate to revenue. What are the challenges? Well, the challenges are all your competitors are trying to do the same thing. So how can you differentiate yourself in such a way that you move your repeat guest ratio from 10% to 15%, thereby ensuring your incremental room revenue for years to come? It's actually something that can be sustained over time. However, it requires that you do stand out from the crowd. You saw in the clip how repeat guests are absolute revenue accelerators. They boost revenue a great deal. How do they do that? Well, they allow revenue to grow over a longer period because these are guests who are coming back to your hotel, who have bought into the value you provide. So, in a way, you could say one time guests produce normal revenue, repeat guests produce accelerated revenue. On to secret two. Make repeat guests your revenue budget goal, which means basically start budgeting for repeat guests rather than just one time guests. How do you do that? Well, repeat guest ratio can be arrived at with the formula total repeat guests divided by total arrivals for a day. Both these information actually you can get from the property management system. Finally, secret 3. Track your repeat guests versus occupancy rate. That means you're monitoring total repeat guests and total occupied rooms. And what are you trying to find out? Well, is repeat guest ratio increasing with increase in total occupied rooms? If not, you've got to find out why. Let's summarize. To accelerate your revenue budget, you first need to switch the revenue budget focus. Next, you need to make repeat guests your goal. And thirdly, you need to monitor repeat guest ratio along with your occupied room nights. And now, for the bonus reveal you have been waiting for. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. And now the bonus truth, what I call the game changer. Pay attention to the market segments in your revenue. Which are the market segments that produce higher repeat guests? They are the segments you must market to most. By harnessing the unlock revenue budget secrets, they will deliver higher revenue for you on a consistent basis through higher repeat guests. If you want to know how to earn higher room revenue, click on the video above on room revenue.